everyone. So I just got back from viewing The Green Knight. So this is a new A24 film directed by David Lowery, and it also stars Dev Patel as the nephew of King Arthur, because this is an Authurian story based off of Arthurian lore, and it also stars Alicia Vikander. And right off the bat, I will say that mostly by the end of this movie, it kind of shies away from the Green Knight tale itself. It's something very different, and it took me a while to kind of understand what this movie was about with the direction that they took it in, and also to just how many endings one could interpret from this, because there's a lot that could come out of it. But this movie has a runtime of about 2 hours and 10 minutes. So without further ado, let me get into my review for The Green Knight. So of course, if any of you haven't read the Arthurian lore behind this, it is extremely cool how only one text survived thousands and thousands of years. It's really awesome. So I do recommend looking into it, because it's just going to kind of amplify what this movie is about for you. And I think too that it's probably good to, at the very least, there's a few YouTube videos that explain what the movie, or I should say what the lore is about and what the text is about. And I do think it's very worthy for one to watch that before going into this movie, or else you're going to be completely, entirely lost about what's going on. Even to me, knowing what it was supposed to be about, I had some difficulties grasping, like I said, the ending of this movie and what everything was supposed to be with the changes that they kind of made to the storytelling of this tale. But it did kind of help me grasp what was supposed to be going on. They definitely film this and tell a story in terms of, they basically treat it as if it were a riddle itself, and you have to solve it and put everything together as you go along with the movie. So it can be very convoluted, very confusing, but really cool storytelling regardless. But of course, kind of to summarize it a little bit without being super spoilery, The Green Knight is about Sir Gawain's journey into becoming a self-righteous man. There's not a whole lot of kind of conniving by crones that there were in the text, but even then, saying this too, there is no clear sight as to who the Green Knight was. It's very clear in the text who it is. They reveal it. It's kind of the big reveal of the book itself. But in terms of this movie, it's more kind of like its own entity, something that was summoned, and something that is there to teach Gawain a lesson about what it's like to be a self-righteous, truly noble and honor-filled king, as he will become one day, since King Arthur has no heirs and he is the next in line for the throne. I found you can really break this movie down into 5 tests of virtue, which can stem from generosity, friendship, piety, chastity, and also courtesy. And there's 5 tests that he does have to go through in this film that all kind of go through those tests. And by the end of the movie, you see the results of these tests basically come to 3 interpretations that I was able to find from the ending of this film. All that were, like I said, could be convoluted. I thought this would have been a very effective story, seeing, like I said, just how almost interpretive they wanted to make the ending. Just how confusing that was. And the way that they're originally going with the ending, I think would have been perfect from a storytelling standpoint, and that would have been a great ending instead of leaving it open. And of course, if we've read the text, you know what happens to Gawain by the end of it, and the mark that he's left with meeting with the Green Knight again after 1 year's time of accepting his challenge to go blow for blow, but a year later. And like I said, just sometimes the storytelling can be very convoluted and not really knowing what they were aiming for here. And I don't know if that was because they were kind of tied up on which ending they wanted to go for, or if they truly just wanted to leave it as open and as ambiguous as they did leave it in this. Sometimes I felt a little lazy. Same thing too with the giant scene. But then again, that could have been seen as a test too, where would he rather stand on the shoulders of giants or become one himself? But when you really break down how this film was made, directed, very fantastically done. Some of the practical effects in this blew my mind about how real they made all of this kind of lore, epic journeys, and creatures look. The Green Knights looked fantastic. If this movie doesn't win an Oscar for sound design, I'm going to be absolutely baffled, because it's one of the best sounding movies that I have heard and seen in a long, long time. Just technically, what they were able to pull off with the sounds of this movie was super impressive. And the soundtrack in this movie too is absolutely fantastic, and it was one of the things that really carried it for me. But in terms of just, like I said, all the practical effects in terms of lighting, scale, things like that, filmed fantastically. And the action is done really, really well too, where it's just, there's so much going on the screen, and these little details that truly bring life to the worlds, the characters, foreshadowing, things like that. And just a really fantastically done movie that way, with an amazing soundtrack to bolster, and like I said, just some of the best sound design that I have heard in many recent memories. Just really, really, technically everything was just absolutely nailed, and that makes it a masterpiece of filmmaking, in my opinion. Like I said, just with a lot of the ways that the story was told and how jumpy it was, and how it can sometimes differ a bit from the lore. Unless, like I said, I'm just missing a bunch of things here. This movie definitely did leave me very confused onto what they were trying to tell from this text. And I know there's the same messages of just the importance of honor, and the importance of honor for one who has a destiny to lead people. But I felt like with the ending that they were originally starting, it would have been more effective for that if they actually gave it a definitive ending instead of the very open, ambiguous one that they left us with. With all this taken together, this was a fantastically made movie. I do recommend it. Just be wary that it is very different. It's not going to be for everyone, and the story is something that's going to go over your head potentially if you don't know too much of the original text. And yeah, like I said, with all this taken together, I'm going to give The Green Knight an 8 out of 10. So if you've seen this movie, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, and try to be as spoiler free as possible, but just kind of which one of the endings would you go for in this, or just all your thoughts about it, leave them down in the comments down below. If you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up. Like I said, leave your comments down below, and subscribe and turn the little ringer on if you want to know when I upload new videos. You can check out all of the videos, everything I do on my channel through the playlist down below, and I'll link some up top here. There is a link in the description to my Twitch, so you can check out everything I do live stream wise via there. And there's also a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord, where we talk about movies, video games, TV, music, basically everything that's awesome in this world. So you could definitely join that amazing community and help make it even more amazing than it is already. So yes, check out The Green Knight when you can, guys, and just awesome.